We've got Vendor Trash, episode 4.
Oh man, episode 4. It
Moving right
feels
along.
like just yesterday that we did episode 1.
We're basically a dynasty.
The dynasty. That'll trigger somebody. I
Who
know
says dynasty?
that will trigger someone. Absolutely. Now it's people. It basically people making fun of people who do podcasts, and
You know what I
my
say?
wife enjoys making fun of us because we're trying to do a podcast.
You know what I say to those people?
What do you say?
I was going to be edgy, but
Say something dark and depressing.
dark and edgy. All right. Episode 4 officially here. Vendor
Yeah,
Trash.
we made some promises. Vendor Trash made some promises last time. We need to fulfill those promises.
What promises did we make? I maybe should have listened to our promises before I just loaded up here.
Our promises were we were going to talk about player characters.
I'm
in
excited.
depth.
I'm excited about player characters.
This officially is the end of us talking about the overview.
The pre-launch experiences.
This is we have come to the end of the first 3 episodes, which entail us talking about all the different things that we know very little about.
Yep.
And jumping headlong into more detailed things that we know nothing about.
That's us. And
As so proven, we need to give a shout out, I think. David P. Mr. David P. was quick to point out some mistakes we made in episode 3, for which we are grateful.
Thank you for the corrections.
Even more grateful that you took the time to listen to the whole podcast, sir. Thank you very much for that.
Oh, and we put in the description of each podcast our mistakes as we find them, because we're gonna make a lot. I don't want to sit here and revisit each mistake we made in a previous podcast, because
no, not gonna do that.
That would really eat up our episode with just our corrections.
We have asked people for this level of interaction, and David came through.
We're starting to get it. All right, player characters.
So I'm going to load this game up. Day 1, I am going to make a cleric, and I'm going to heal people.
What game are you playing, sir?
That's how MMOs work, man. I've been playing these things for years.
That's exactly how it works.
Decades.
I can pretty much do it in my sleep. If I'm not feeling it, I'm going to hit pre-made.
But it's not going to work in this game, is it? Chronicles of Elyria does not work that way.
There are no classes, that's for sure. If that's the... But, I mean, in some respects, you are... it is a traditional character creation process that's completely not traditional.
Very much so.
But yeah, day 1, you're going to load it up, and you're going to have 3 souls to choose from.
3 souls to choose from means that you have 3 souls that you can create. You're talking about being able to create 3 characters, right?
Well, yes. Short answer, yes.
Short answer is yes.
Yeah, your souls are actually different. Souls have different histories and lives lived, skill affinity. So if it's hard to talk about player characters without using classes.
Well, if you basically, we'll go back to our fallback of the blacksmith.
Right.
You use a soul and a spark of life. You create a character. You make him a blacksmith. He dies, or whatever, and you use a different soul, another spark of life, to start a new character. He doesn't get that ramp effect on the skills like we were talking about because it's a new character. It's a different soul, different line of succession.
Yeah, and the ones you start with, you're going to have different choices to choose from as far as their affinities. And I think we tried to get as much as we could. We have a picture from Design Journal 2, I believe.
Right.
And it's as close as we can get to figuring out what all the soul is involved, but they have some cool Latin-y sounding names and stuff. And it'll list how many lives your soul has been in, how many times it's lived and died in the world. So that's the age of the soul. And
so basically, this is replacing, in your standard MMO, this is replacing that character selection screen. When you make your main character, you have your alt, you have your off-tank healer character, whatever.
I think you're still going to have your alts and your main characters that you've built and put souls into.
I know, I was saying, but each soul represents that alt character style
Yeah, I get it,
mindset.
but it's not like you can pull a soul out and put it in someone else, and
No,
then
no, no, that's not.
no.
Yeah, I
So you're
wasn't
still
meaning
going to have
that.
a character select screen once you bait a character and put a soul in. Is what? Yeah, same
I
thing,
think,
but
I was gonna say we're saying the same thing anyway. But yeah, when you go to your character select, you're gonna have the soul that you've already used, and then the souls you haven't used. I'm talking day one. You create a character. You'll have the one soul that you've put into a character, and the two souls that you haven't yet
yeah,
into
during character creation,
the first character creation.
right?
Looking at the just at the pledge packages we were talking about before the podcast started. Uh, at the very base, you get one spark of life and three souls. Do you think that that's probably going to be how the game sells when it releases?
I mean, it's definitely what you're getting if you backed it so far. Because I think
Well,
every,
no, I'm saying, yeah. That
but
do you
yes,
think?
I obviously all the alpha testing, beta testing, and all that stuff, and seeing the reaction of the community and things like that will definitely probably impact those numbers. Now, whether it impacts it to increase them at all is remains to be seen. But I think it's a
Right.
good number. You get
No, it
three
seems like
souls
a
to
good
choose
number.
from with different skill affinities, and you get to make your character, and boom, one spark of life and get going.
Juggling three souls. That's that seems like a monumental task to me, just from the outside looking in. Somebody who wants to play two characters simultaneously. I'm not saying it's impossible because obviously you're with your. Anyway, we'll get to it.
Well, I mean, it's not like other MMOs where it's like, well, I don't feel like playing my main today. I'm going to log in my alt and do some smithing.
No,
No,
right. Your
they're,
alt is always there.
they're always
doing
in the
stuff.
world. So I don't know how much alt play will be going on. Maybe a ton. I plan on having one character and focusing on them, but who knows? I never planned on having multiple
Well, yeah,
alts. Any
but
game I played that I enjoyed for a long
you
period.
have you have no idea whether or not it's going to be beneficial to you to create the one character and have him your main doing things, and then create another character and have this guy, gathering for you all the time. I mean, how awesome would that be?
And then that comes down to the offline play and how good and how robust the scripts are.
Yeah,
And
but people are gonna use that system to their advantage as much as possible.
I think so. I think that has a lot of potential for abuse, and it's interesting to wait and see how that works. Because offline,
But we start a family, we could technically have. I mean, if we purchase the extra sparks of life, I mean, we could have three characters running around
just
at all
harvesting.
times.
But I mean, and that's the other part is it's a finite resources. If they just run around harvesting stuff, they're going to run out of stuff in the area to harvest, and have to get further and further away from safety to do it.
Does that mean that day one, do we need to go out and start harvesting so that we're not having to go on long expeditions? We're getting way off topic here.
That's what we do.
That's what we do.
Back to the
No,
souls.
but I mean that becomes an issue day one. I mean, did the locusts set loose upon the land to start gathering
The
up
player
all the
character
resources
locust
that are
swarm.
close by?
Well, and then you got to keep in mind we got exposition. So this will be a running world at the point it's released. On day one isn't just the first time player characters interact.
Right. No, I understand.
So a lot of the locusting done around the settlements will be done. Back to souls. Every soul will have different skill affinities, and I think that's their plan right now. So there's 5 skill trees. Is that correct? Trying to think if that's correct.
I don't have my information on skills up.
I believe there's 5 skill trees. It's no big deal. Correct us if I'm wrong.
I got everything but skills. Where's the skills?
I think there's bardic skills, crafting skills, fighting skills, survival skills, and then the deviant skills. And under those, of course, is tons of different skills. But as far as broad categories, so if you want to make a crafter and you have a soul that has a high crafting affinity, you would want to use that soul to start. And if you want to be an explorer, survivor, or explorer fighter, you'd want to pick a soul that had a high fighting survival affinity. Because
So, sorry, continue your thought.
no, that's every soul will have.
Well, I'm trying to figure out, do each soul come with a set of affinities to start,
I don't know if
or are
there's
they just blank?
I don't know if there's just the vanilla soul. I believe they all start with different ones. That's kind of how you get your starting differences between people.
Soul selection screen, you can see the name, age, affinity, skill ramps, talents. So see, that's all based on stuff from previous characters.
That's true. I mean, it may not have affinity until you've lived a life with the soul and then it died. Then you have affinities for what that soul actually did in its life. You got any sort of confirmation, deconfirmation?
No.
You
This
can,
this journal doesn't go deep into.
but see, it does say that in the soul selection screen, you can see the name, age, affinity, and skill ramps, and talents and past achievements of each soul. And it goes on to say the talents and achievements won't be visible the first time you play a soul. So the affinity and skill ramps will be visible, by inference. Talents and achievements won't be visible until you unlock them in that soul, but the age, affinity, skill ramps will all be visible the first time.
Here we go. A soul is first created with a neutral affinity, but it will not remain that way for long. Players' actions leave a mark on the soul.
Yeah, that's the light and
Less
dark.
entertaining.
That's what some would call alignment.
I don't believe in alignment.
You're true neutral.
Try this.
Irregardless, you're gonna pick a soul and stick it in a body.
I'm just curious if they come predisposed towards a certain playstyle or not.
I can't see them. I mean, maybe they're all vanilla. I don't know. I can't see them not. I want to say I've got that sense from reading journals and stuff that you can. But the other part is not only do you pick a soul to stick in a body, you also have to pick the body.
Right.
And that's where you have the you get to look at the world and say, okay, which bodies are available for me to put this soul in, or which families are available for me to be a descendant of.
Right.
And so if you want to play that blacksmith, then you could find a blacksmithing family in the area where you're at that has a child, and you can, boom, put your soul in that child, and that's the character you start playing.
Well, I'm not finding anything specific mentioning it, but I have seen a lot of stuff about how when you create this character, it's given, the destiny.
Right.
Based on your character's affinities or your skills. I mean, it takes those into consideration. So if it's pure vanilla when you create the character,
here's my question:
the engine has nothing to go on.
Yeah, well, I mean, it has to go on your birth date and the star alignment and the other inputs you put in.
Fair enough. So there's lots of other steps here besides just choosing a soul.
And that may be something. And here's my question, which I don't know an answer to. You made me think of it when you said that, which is the destiny thing. Is that recreated every time a soul is reborn? Does it get a new destiny, or is it a continuation of its old destiny?
Oh, that's a really good question.
I don't know the answer to that offhand. So that's a good. But that would be what would be. I don't know how robust. I mean, obviously, Caspian's been working on the Destiny, the Proteus engine, and the story engine but maybe that's one way that the early Destinies in the game, kind of like the technology in the early game. The early Destinies are, I don't want to say vanilla, but they're limited by the age of the souls. Early on in the game, obviously, there's not that many old souls. And then as the souls get older and the Destinies are generated by those souls, they get more and more complex, leading to more and more interesting or in-depth things. And again, this is me musing about it because I have no clue if you get one destiny when you're originally created, or if the soul is regenerated or modified each time it's reborn.
All right.
You go find that answer. Let me know, sir.
As a side, I'm reading from the which one is this called? This is Design Journal number 2.
Okay.
As a side note, everything we've talked about thus far applies in a broader sense to your soul as well as your character. Each soul has a set of predetermined themes and conflicts which characters will face during the course of play. Unlike those things tied to your birth dates, these themes and conflicts can be spread over many lifetimes, and you may not encounter them for years to come.
Well, that kind of
So
tells you that
there are actually 2 different types of destinies. There's the destinies for your soul, and then there are also destinies for the character that you're playing at that time. That's interesting.
No, that's the depth of it is like, holy shit, can they actually do this?
Who knew that you could take the in-game death mechanic of an MMO and turn it into something so elaborate?
Robust. And who knows if you can? That's the other part I want to say, because I'm not a hater. I'm not a doubter. I'm just really wanting to see this happen.
Oh no, the number of detractors on this game are overwhelming.
Well, I
I
mean,
think.
even you and me sat and talked about playing PUBG, and they put 100 people in PUBG on a single map that never changes, and the amount of broken issues with them adding, a new gun, or
Right.
it just broke the. To me, I can't wrap my brain around the sheer number of the ecosystem and the is it ecosystem, echo.
Pretty sure
the
he meant eco.
the ecosystem, and it keeping track of all the animals in the area, the people, the objects you own, and all your interactions, and all of them mattering.
Right.
It just boggles my brain that.
And all these different games handle these things in different ways. I mean, you go back to the MMOs, when you kill a random wolf.01, there's a ticker, a timer on the server that says, okay, wolf 01 has been dead for 10 minutes. He's been gone for 10 minutes. I will respawn him. And they use those timers in those games to keep the locusts from wiping everything out, obviously.
Right, spawn points and spawn timers, and
Right.
this game, I mean, doesn't have that, and
Well,
just
on the surface, it's supposed to look like that's not what's going on.
right.
And I give them mad props for trying this out. And I'm not saying they can't do it. I'm just saying that I can't wrap my brain about how they're going to do it. But I'm an idiot. Take that into consideration.
No, without a doubt, I can affirm, I can completely, I completely confirm that. No, the what I know about computers and technology and networking and all that, servers and client side, and what needs to be stored where and how it works and stuff. All I do is play the game at the end and say, wow, this one sucks, and oh, this one's awesome.
Right.
And seeing the issues on other games and wondering, holy crap, the amount of stuff they're trying to do is unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Yes. And dude, again, that's not to say it can't be done or I don't believe it can be done. That is to say how excited I am that they're even trying it. And I just pray that it can be done.
Right.
So, that being said, we completely got off topic. Souls. Back to the souls. Once you pick your character and your souls, then the next thing that defines your characters is actual attributes. And there are 3 broad categories of attributes for a character in Chronicles of Elyria. And again, it's all tied into the death mechanic, the lifespan mechanic, however you want to look at it. But the
Don't
3
they have a name for it?
The what?
Don't they have a name for that?
The death
We'll get to it eventually.
The living your life?
Yeah, there's a name for it, I think. But keep going. We'll get to it.
Okay. But yeah, 3 broad categories: physical attributes, mental attributes, and social attributes.
And those are divided up into force, reflex, and endurance.
Yeah, each one.
Each one is divided up into force, reflex, and endurance.
And then each specific one has a name. So your physical force is called your strength. Your mental force is your will.
I see you're going the other way.
Yeah, your physical reflex is your agility. Your mental reflex is your reason. So it's a really cool breakdown of the abilities. But there's basically 9 attributes. 3 mental ones.
That's what it breaks down to. There are 9 attributes for each character.
Attributes? Do I mispronounce attributes?
Attributes.
I don't know. I'm asking.
Word, right?
Here's a
Dude,
funny. The funny side note.
We've argued over words for 25 years. It's not going to stop today.
No, and this is what I want to explain to the listeners: is that I learned to speak from reading. I'm not I don't mean that like I learned to talk, but lots of words I butcher, especially words from that have like French origin or
Right.
Just different origins, and I am brutal.
Well, I think the word attribute has come to mean one thing, and attribute has come to mean something else.
Almost a attribute is a noun, and attribute is the verb when you do something to something.
Something along those lines, yes.
Huh.
I use them interchangeably, just like I use data and data. I use them both interchangeably. It's not even conscious.
Is data and data two different things?
No, they're just two different
Okay,
pronunciations.
that's what I thought, but I thought maybe I didn't know something. I was going to learn.
No, I don't think they have a different meaning. And when I say attribute, I'm usually meaning I attribute this to someone. And when I say attribute, I usually mean I'm talking about like a character sheet.
A character
that time
sheet.
I didn't. I did it backwards that time, and that's just the fault of, you know,
And I called you out
America.
on it.
That's my fault of being American.
America. All right, so there's the 9 character traits, but the 3 categories: physical, mental, and social. And these character traits tie into your lifespan, because when you're young, this may surprise some people, but when you're young, that's when you're physically at your peak. As you move through your youth into your middle age, and you feel your physical self decline. Going to the gym doesn't reap the same results it used to. But that's the natural progression of the character in this game. Is when you're young, you're strong and fast, and as you get older, you'll slow down and get weaker. But as your social skills will get sharper as you reach middle age, and then your mental skills will get sharper as you reach older age. And I'm not saying they're mutually exclusive. But that's the idea behind it, is to mimic, of course, the lifespan of a real person. And you're supposed, yeah. Help me out, Sam. I'm struggling here.
No, you're not struggling. You're doing just.
I'm drowning.
No, you're pointing out exactly what they're going for. They're trying to mimic real life aging.
Yes. It's not just that your character dies eventually and you have to start a new one. It's that he grows old and dies.
And they're not doing it in a generic way that at age 30, you lose 1 point of strength. At age 35, you lose 1 point of agility. They're not going with that kind of system that most games would probably take. If you are, again, that blacksmith swinging that hammer every single day, you're always going to be strong, right? But your stamina, your ability to do things is going to shorten. I mean, instead of being able to swing that hammer for 2 hours with no problem, now you can probably only swing it for about an hour and a half, where you start getting tired as you age. That's going to start going down. I don't think you're actually going to lose that strength, but you're going to lose the ability to keep your strength up longer.
Well, and again, I don't know exactly. I love your explanation of it. I just don't know how they're actually going to implement. I'm sure there's going to be caps that's the strength cap will slowly start coming down, especially when you start reaching extreme old age. You know what I'm saying?
No, I agree with that. I'm just saying that I don't think it's going to be, well, I've got to get all this done before my character turns 35, because that's when I lose the strength.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
I think
that's the kind of thing that would happen in an MMO that, just used the numbers to try to control this.
No, and because Chronicles of Elyria is all about what actions you take.
Right.
And it's not even like, well, as you get older, your mental stats are better. No, it's not that. It's that as you get older, your physical stats will deteriorate, but your mental never really has to go away, has to deteriorate, barring, some sort of mental disease. But I'm not sure they want to really get that deep.
You can imagine. This is something along the lines of
dementia. I mean, that would be like the worst.
Just people just roaming around town.
That's a little too close to real life.
Silver alerts.
And then the social stats. I'm not sure. How do you take something that's never been in an MMO? Social. That's never. I mean, I guess they've had haggling skills. Is about as close as it gets.
And I'm not positive. I'm not positive how persuasion, intuition, and leadership work, because in most MMOs, those skills are based on your ability to interact with people.
With people,
player skill, not a character skill.
And there's no real way to separate that with Discord and chat clients and everything. Someone who's just a charismatic person, it really doesn't matter what their social. And so I don't know how they put those numbers into the game and make them matter, other than how much. If your leadership skill is low, then you can only. I don't.
I'm baffled by how they're going to implement the social skills.
Now the intuition I can understand, because the fact that information in this game is actually an entity that is traded and moves amongst people. I know your intuition can probably check against the veracity of a rumor or a piece of information. Your intuition can give you, it can actually be a skill check. Bloom comes back to you and say, no, that's the truth. Your intuition tells you that's the truth.
Okay.
And so I can see intuition being worked into a game. And then persuasion.
Well, I was going to say that on persuasion, if there was a system in the game where you could like read a character's face, you know what I mean? Somebody who was really good at lying, for example, you wouldn't get those social tics that you get when you see somebody trying to be dishonest.
Press X to doubt.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
Did you play?
There's some kind of system like that in there. I understand it, where your character is able to see what their face is doing, and you can kind of like figure out, well, there's something not right there.
Did you play? What was that? It was based off L.A. Confidential, the movie. It really wasn't. It was just kind of that same theme. What was that called?
Kind of a noir, American
L.A. Noir. The game I think was called L.A. Noir.
There you go.
It was supposed to be.
I did not play it.
Okay. They had the groundbreaking facial. You had to interrogate people and watch their face for lies. But again, that was the whole feature of the game, was you interrogating. That was where the press X to doubt thing comes from, when they answer a question, you know. And
I have played a very similar game, but it was not. It was a poker game.
Gotcha.
Where you were supposed to be able
get
to
the
read
tells
people at the table and get their tells and things. Yeah, it was horrible.
He's bluffing.
It was absolutely terrible.
No, but my point is on that is that was the selling point of that game. That was the whole crux of it. So when you talk about Chronicles of Elyria, you're talking about they've got so many selling points that would be the feature of another game.
No doubt.
And I don't want to go in here and say that they have the press X to doubt, reading people's faces. That's just me.
No, we're not. We're not suggesting these things. We're just trying to figure out what they could do. We're guessing.
And then leadership. I don't know if there's a hard number of, like, your leadership determines how many followers you can have, but what makes a follower? And again, how does that separate?
Now, leadership, I completely understand, because you're talking about, how good is a mayor at keeping NPCs in his town from just wandering off?
But again, that's only NPCs, because I can see persuasion working with NPCs too.
I agree with that. I could see intuition working with NPCs.
Yeah, with NPCs you can do skill checks again, but against people, I don't know their system for making those matter yet.
No, I don't either.
And
but no, leadership, the only way I could see it working is if it has to do with the NPCs and the way that leaders can keep them from, very interested in how those are going to relate into the game. Obviously, the intuition is the only one I understand. Working with the whole, is this rumor true? Is this information, have any weight? Right.
But the persuasion, leadership, I don't see how they work into it yet. And it'll be interesting to see future as the game progresses where those go. Okay. One of the coolest things in this game, when you have a character, and one of the things that was hugely divisive and discussed ad nauseum in the boards and Discord channels and everything when it was...
He said discussed. It is still being discussed as we speak.
Yeah. I don't know if it'll ever stop. But it's just exciting. And I think it's talents. The talent system in this game, which we know so little about, by the way. The numbers thrown around by the devs in different journals and things like that is roughly 5% of the souls that exist will have a talent potential in their destiny.
Now let me get this out of the way right here. This is what it says right on the wiki.
All right.
You get one randomly at character creation. Each character has a very small chance of getting a talent, right?
Well, start in front of that, because it says there are 2 ways to gain a talent.
Oh, I see. No, I missed that.
Yes, okay.
I was just going with the whole, there's a very small chance of getting a talent. That's all I was trying to get to.
Right, but there's 2 ways to get one, which you get one randomly at character creation. That's the 5% number. I think everybody's,
Is that what the number is?
No, because it says with both of these. So anyway, you can get one randomly at character creation, and it's random. Or you can get a talent by simply making yourself part of the story within Elyria.
By making yourself part of the story, they're talking about interjecting yourself into important events.
Yes. And just to quote the wiki here, it says, this means that if a character at a certain time or point within the world is in the best position to advance the dynamic story, then the Soulborn engine may give that person a talent in order for the storyline to progress. And then it goes on to say that between both of these methods of getting a talent, less than 5% of the population will have a talent. So,
Right. Okay.
all that being said, that's how you can get a talent. You can chase the story and advance the Soulborn engine and be a part of this living, breathing world and its destiny, the world destiny. And or you can get one randomly at birth that you have a chance to unlock. I don't think you just come out of the womb knowing how to use the talent. But all that being said, Sam,
Yes.
give me an idea of what having a talent means as we understand it so far.
You want me to just list them off with the ones we know about?
I want you to be entertaining to me.
I'm the worst entertainer on this planet.
Believe me.
All right. One of the biggest topics that everyone talks about in this game is magic.
I would say the biggest. If you melted down and said, what is, if you know, because they talk about everything.
You boil everything down. What's the one thing everybody wants to know about is magic. And in this game, magic is a talent. We don't know how many talents there are going to be. Right now, there are 7 that I don't want to say confirmed because who knows what's going to change in the future. But 7 possible talents available are planeswalking, medium, healing, animal speak, shape-shifting, water breathing, and magic. I don't know if magic is separate from all those other things because all those other things seem like magic to me too.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, it's I don't know if they mean by magic, you know, just what you truly think of, like the mage or the enchanter.
No, the ability to change the environment around you with nothing but the power of your mind.
Yeah, I think
magic.
The traditional mage / wizard is what I think they mean by magic. And Caspian said magic exists and it is very powerful, but it's not known, you know, out of character.
No, right. And that's the thing that they're trying really, really hard is that if you go into this game with the intention of, I want to be, you know, Gandalf, I want to be Merlin, pick whatever wizard from history.
Yeah.
The one thing all of those guys have in common is that they're usually the only one or one of only a small handful that exists in the whole world.
Yeah.
And that's what this game is shooting for.
What was Gandalf? One of the Istari? Was it the Istari?
You really wanted to get into that?
No, not really. I was just trying to remember there was like Gandalf and Radagast and
there were 5.
Okay. But anyway, sorry. No, I wasn't trying to jump off into that.
No, Istari was correct. There were 5.
And Merlin. You go to Merlin, you got Alanon. I'm trying to think of others. But
oh, yeah. I forgot about Alanon.
Of course, he was the last. Anyway. There used to be lots of druids. But anyway.
Yeah. But that's what they're going for, is they're trying to say, yeah, there's going to be these other talents where you have one little piece of this or one little piece of that, like water breathing or shape shifting, animal speak. Those things are all what we would consider magic. But then there's going to be those people, that small group handful of people who are capable of controlling those forces for good or ill.
No, that's the thing. Talents aren't even equal. You know,
no, they're not.
Go into your thing. In another MMO, if I wanted to be a fireball throwing mage, I went to character select screen, picked mage, went in the game, and I had a level 1 fireball, you know?
Yeah.
Tried to get to level 2 so I could get the flame wall or insert. And, you know, I was one of 1,000 mages or you know, insert however many the number is.
And they're trying so hard to make these things special.
Yes.
I love it.
And again, they're not unique because, you know, I might get animal speak and able to speak to birds, and that's my talent, but that's fucking cool.
Speak to cockroaches.
Yeah. But it's still so cool because it's not just some talent I picked at, you know, I can take this talent or this talent when I create my character. I'll talk to cockroaches, just like all these other hundreds of people that chose it.
Right. No,
you know?
if you're playing your character and you discover that you have a talent, that should be a monumental moment in this game for you. It should be like a
huge
holy
deal.
Crap, did you just see what I did?
And the potential for that, you know, is just amazing. It's like one of our early discussions was, and I was going to talk about liches and vampires, which we touched on before. But one of our early discussions was like, okay, Sam, me and you have this plan. We're going to go into this game. We're going to go and we're going to explore, let's say. We're going to go out and explore and find stuff and make maps and you know, that's our plan, right?
Right.
And while we're doing this, you discover this amulet. And that amulet leads us, and we're like, hey, there's this inscription. And we follow this story quest line or whatever however you want to say it, your destiny, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it turns out at the end of this, and we play for months and months and months, and it turns out you reach a point where you can actually become a lich, right?
The most vile being that ever walk.
And that's
Elyria.
It has nothing to do with the story we wanted to make for our characters. It's just the character story, right? So now we're at this cross point. We're like, holy crap, do we destroy this amulet, or do you want to become a lich? And you have to make that choice. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, I'm huge conjecture here, but the story engine,
Right.
So let's say you take the good road, the affinity, the light affinity, and we're like, no, we need to destroy this thing. And then, of course, people start finding out about it, and some people want to be a lich, and they start chasing us trying to get this thing, and we're trying to go to Mount Doom and throw it into the crack. So that's one option for how it could go. Or the second option is Sam is like, I will be the most powerful lich that ever lived.
Yeah. I mean, and
At which point, I decide, holy crap, I hate liches. I will go rouse everyone in the air. I'll go tell the king, there's a lich. We need to get the witch hunters out. Let's go. Or I can say, I will be your henchman. I will be your captain of the guard. Let's lay waste to the countryside.
and that, to me, that is like the ultimate talent chasing dream of something to happen in this game.
Does it have any, is that probably going to happen to us as we go out and explore and make? No, we're probably going to go
no
out,
way.
explore, and make maps. But but the potential for that to happen to somebody and that be their story is, and even for us to hear about it, 3 counties away.
Oh yeah, even just to have some bard singing about it.
Yes, in the
in
tavern.
the tavern one night. That's the kind of thing that makes this game so exciting.
We're not sitting in the tavern surrounded by 4 fire mages hearing about a fire, because you're not going to hear about a fire mage. But if there was someone throwing fireballs in this game, you're going to hear about it in the tavern, and people are going to be like, holy crap, let's go check it out.
Yes.
At least in my mind, that's how it's going to work.
No, talents are. There's a lot of people who are not going to play this game once they find out what talents are and how they work.
Yeah, they're just
There's
not.
a lot of people.
Not fair.
People crying, not fair.
The
people
not fair
crying,
crowd.
Balance,
Yes.
all this stuff. If this person can do it, I should be able to do it. Those kind of people.
I paid the same
Are
amount
not-
as he did for my Spark of Life, so I should get the same chances.
Right.
And
Those kind of people need not apply to this game.
yes, good. That's what I say is, I'm glad you're not going to play it. But I do think there's more people. I shouldn't say more. I think there's enough people who are intrigued by the whole story engine, and it's not fair, and the uniqueness of cool things happening, that this game will have a big enough player base that it doesn't matter.
My hope
those people don't play.
My hope about talents is that there are a lot of them and that they never announce more than the 7 they've already talked about.
Yeah, well, I don't know if they have to test them in alpha and beta, and how much, with the NDA
Listen,
in place, I'm sure they can keep lid on
this-
some things.
This is something that's written right here in the wiki. Talents will not be in the game at launch and will be added at an unspecified date.
When was that written? I wonder.
It's just on the wiki.
Hmm.
It's updated constantly. So,
Yeah.
And it doesn't cite a source unless this is the source. Design Journal #1, Introduction to Souls. That's the design journal I have open.
So, anyway, talents to me is one of the God, I can't. How many times have I said it? One of the most interesting parts of this game.
And it doesn't have to be me. It doesn't have to be you. It doesn't have to be anybody in our group of players that it's happening to. I'm not saying that I want the talent to hit me right in the face so that I can run with the story. I'm saying that the fact that there are going to be people in the game who are unlocking these talents and progressing the story forward is enough for me to be excited to play.
Yes, and don't get me wrong, I'm excited about the potential that I can chase the story down and maybe get one. Don't get me wrong, make no
doubt.
mistake.
No doubt.
I'm
just saying my happiness in this game is not dependent upon it.
upon me getting the talent.
Right.
Yes, I agree with that. To hear about, again, it's so hard for me to explain that you don't just make a wizard. If you hear about a wizard, It's like, holy shit, you're a wizard, Harry. Yeah, you get that moment of holy. And to me, Caspian's mentioned the 10-year story arc, the real life 10-year story arc for this world. And I can't imagine it not including a huge unlocking of. I'm not saying like magic is unlocked again, but I just can't see a 10-year story arc where that some aspect of that doesn't occur. Some world changing event as enough people have chased down this 10-year storyline to advance it to a tipping point, so to speak.
Year 8. In year 8, there are born 400 people in our world who are all capable of using magic.
Where's this from? Is this a prediction?
It's not. I'm making this up. I'm saying.
I don't think you're right. I'm saying.
No, I'm saying that this could be put in the game. This could be an event. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Something that could just drastically alter the way things are going. Year 8, the Wizard War breaks out. And,
yeah.
Just something ridiculous. No, I am not predicting anything.
Oh, this isn't based on any sort of wiki or any sort of Discord discussion. No, this is pure speculation.
Off of my head.
Yeah, okay.
They could do something like that somewhere along the line to make it and it could all be doing that. There could be 1,000 people on our server all gathering up all the information on the past. They could be collecting relics. They could be finding all these things, finding the people who have these talents and spiriting them away so that they can learn about them. And maybe the server goes that way. Maybe that's all that the people pushing the story care about is bringing magic back. And it may not be any part of the story at all. And it might not.
I can't foresee that. I mean, I just can't. But I'm not going to be disappointed either way because I'm excited to find out. That's the best. It's like reading getting a brand new book you've heard is so great. And start reading at page 1 and finding out where it goes. You don't know where. Yeah, you just don't know.
Talents is a huge discussion point, and like we talked about, it's probably the most talked about thing on the forums, the most talked about thing in the Discord channels. It's what people talk about
continuously. I mean, as far as whenever a new dev journal comes out, you're going to talk about that a lot more at that time. But over time, I think
the speculation is never ending.
Never ending.
I imagine it'll continue on well after the game is released because, after 6 months, whatever, when they release talents, and if you come out that nobody's ever heard of, and then, 3 years go by and somebody gets another talent that nobody's ever heard of, they could just keep adding these things into the game.
No, there's so much potential.
Yeah.
Identity. So that's talents. Now we're going to talk about identity, and what we touched on identity in podcast 2.
We've actually talked about identity quite a bit. Let's see what the developers have to say here. This is from DJ number 12 by Caspian.
Design or dev?
It says DJ.
Okay.
I mean, that's what it says. DJ number 12. Identity, disguises, and reputation. In identity, it says, in Chronicles of Elyria, a character and their identity are two separate things. The character represents the physical body, while the identity represents the intangible parts such as the character's name, reputation, and persona. And, much as in our world, in Chronicles of Elyria, a character's identity is never displayed by default.
So you don't just get to go up and type /con or /inspect.
You don't even get the name above their head. When you approach a character you've never encountered before, there's no floating nameplate above their head that identifies who they are, what class they are, or any other information. The same is true for you. When you first enter a new town, nobody around you will have the slightest idea who you are. So when they say you have an identity in this game, they actually mean it.
No, and again, I think it's tied to reputation, identity, reputation. He said that, persona. But when let's take it to an example of me and you. We've never met, and we come together in a village, our starting village or whatever, and settlement. And I come up to you. You've never met me, so there's no name above my head. But I come up and introduce myself to you and shake your hand and say, "Hi, I'm Kalus." And you're like, "I'm Patch." And I in my mind at that point, the game says boop boop, and then the name pops up above the head. Now you may have lied to me. Your name's not Patch, but that's what I know you as. So when I see you walking around, it's Patch. And then
it's
go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. I was going to say, it says here, once you've talked to another character enough or have done business with them a couple of times, you'll perpetually see the floating nameplate above their head.
So yeah, basically what we were just saying.
Right.
Now, maybe not just an introduction, but
if I tell you my name is something different than what my name is, does that matter?
I think so, because that's how you create disguises. You go out there and live your life as someone else and let that information leak out to all the people in the area, and pretty soon you're known as that person above your head to all those people.
Hang on here. I'm trying to read this. It says, when introducing yourself, you determine whether you want to convey your first name and title, or additional information such as your guild that you're part of. The more information you share, the more comfortable a person may be talking to you, and the more likely they are to remember you later.
I don't know how that works.
I'm trying to figure out how you go up to somebody. Oh, it says becoming anonymous. I don't know how you can go up to somebody and tell them that your name is something different than it is, and then that name that you just make up for yourself will appear over your head. How does that happen?
I think that ties into the actual skill disguise, and not just anybody can do it. Like, you're going to actually have to create the separate identity. Maybe have that information written on something that you keep on your character so you can reference it. The game engine can reference it, not necessarily you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you create the disguise. Maybe, yeah. So, conjecture.
Well, because and I've been reading about this for a while because it's one of my favorite parts of the game is whatever the reason, talking about trying to become anonymous, characters can hide their identity and names by wearing a hooded cloak with the hood up.
Right, because if they can't see your face, then they can't know who you are. You're just a person in a cloak.
Right, you're the cloak, a disguise, whatever it is that you use. All that does is erase the name from over your head. It doesn't change it.
I'm with you.
So I'm a little confused when you said that if I introduce myself as somebody different.
No, that was me speaking. I mean, obviously, that was. I again, thinking back on it, I would say that it's probably tied into the disguise skill and some of those deviant skills to make that a possibility.
I have never read anywhere where it says you can create a second persona and become that persona. I didn't know that was a thing.
What, isn't it in that DJ? I'm not in your DJ that you're looking at. Doesn't that one say disguise on it?
Disguises aren't always necessary. But when used, that's what it says, aren't. But when used, dramatically reduce the likelihood of someone detecting your false identity. There you go, false identity. There we go. Wait, going back up. Multiple identities. As seen in last week's design journal on equipment inventory, game character sheet has a drop-down box which, much like how other games let you select your current active title, lets you select your current active identity.
So yeah, you can create a separate identity.
There it is.
I knew it was from somewhere. Most of my stuff came from people talking about it in Discord, I think, not actually reading.
No, it's, you're 100%. This was not known to me.
It's been a long time since I read it.
I remember reading about you can make yourself anonymous with a disguise and a hood. I did not realize that you could create an identity and then just use a drop-down menu to bring it up.
And the better your skill, the better your identity is, the harder it is for people to see through it. And that's where that intuition comes into play. That's what I was talking about. Intuition, I can understand it for the game mechanics, using it in that regard.
The more I learn, the crazier this game sounds.
Yeah. So yeah, all right. That's your. We'd be broken off from it. We've already got past basically creating your character.
Yeah, I think that covered. I think between the other between our other podcasts and this one, I think identity's been fairly well covered. We can actually probably do one later on, just on identity if we wanted to.
Oh yeah, and the possibilities, and especially as we get more information.
Right.
And one cool thing we are doing is right now is we're going through the Discord and finding every time that the devs. Right now we're starting with Caspian because it's a labor intensive process, but every time they speak about something, and in the future podcast we're just going to be going over what you may have missed in the Discord channel and some of those things, or just using it to supplement our current topics.
We've talked so much about how characters work and how, what you can possibly do. I don't know how daily life can be any more
talked about,
discussed, unless we want to talk about like the survival aspects or
no, I mean, sure. Yeah, daily life. This game is not about grinding mobs or grinding quests or collecting 14 pumpkins from Farmer Fred's field and bringing them back to an NPC. This game has a closed economy that requires that is going to generate most of the needs of what characters need to do, which is the daily life. You know, if you want your settlement to be successful, it needs food. It needs to produce goods that people want in the settlement and from outside the settlement, whether that be actual crafted goods or resources that are only available in your area. And I mean, because this is the closed economy with finite resources, and that there's so much potential. You know, you have herbs that are only available in your area, or they're extremely plentiful in your area. So you can try to make your fortune by collecting all those up and getting a merchant train together and getting guards to guard it and taking it across the counties to the place where those things don't exist and sell them for a massive profit. And as an example of one thing you could do to take advantage of this living world, and it is basically limited by your imagination and the game engine, obviously. Yeah, it's just that right there is just a feature, like the main feature of a different game, and it's just part of this game. It's just the.
To me, daily life, like you were talking about, wherever you live, your home, it's in your best interests to keep it working,
flourishing.
Keep it flourishing. You don't want to log in. You don't want to, come home Friday from work and log in, and your village, your town, whatever, just be in disarray because people don't care.
Don't give a shit.
Yeah, you want to make sure that when your character needs something, Mr. Blacksmith needs to buy some raw materials. You want the person in town to have them. You know what I mean? And that takes effort on our part.
That's if you want. I mean, I guess you're saying you want that. Some people may not want that. Some people may.
Oh no, I
want to watch the world burn.
No, I get that. I understand. There are always going to be the people on the other side of the coin.
Yes.
My point is that in most MMOs, in order to keep things healthy, all you have to do is run dungeons, put things on the auction house. You know what I mean?
Well, in most MMOs today, it didn't fucking matter what you did.
No, I'm saying, but a server wasn't considered dead or dying unless people stopped doing those things.
I get you.
In this game, it's not your it's not your server that might die. It could be something as small as the village down the road from where you live, where normally these people bring you lumber, and then your people have craftsmen that use the lumber and send it up down the line. If that village down the road starts falling apart and you lose your access to what they're bringing you, it's in your best interest to go down there and see if you can't fix it or help fix it.
No, it's just like I said, the world is alive, and what you do matters. That's the daily life.
To me, that's what the daily life is not just the individual things that you're like, okay, I want to do this. It's okay, in order to get done what I want to get done, I got to make sure that everything around me is actually functioning.
And top it all off, you could have no interest in that whatsoever and just want to go out and search for ruins and try to find stuff people have never discovered and explore this story and have nothing to do with the health of your settlement and the closed economy.
You absolutely can.
You just may simply want to get enough stuff to buy your adventuring gear and head out. And that's completely optional in this game, or completely an option in this game.
And if everybody wants to do that,
the economy's going to suck.
Towns and villages are going to
But I think there's so many people
vanish.
I think so many people love the civilization simulation that this game offers. I think more people are going to be interested in the harvesting, crafting, researching, building of civilizations.
I think that the built-in fear of having to constantly buy sparks of life because you're always out in the wilds and always dying, I think that will keep most people in the mind frame of, I'm a crafter, I'm a gatherer, I'm a whatever. The explorers are going to be the people who don't mind having to start from scratch every few days if they have to. And I don't think that's going to be a large number of people.
Yeah, I don't see every few days. I mean, God, how many times can you
I'm being,
God, yes,
I'm
yeah.
just, yeah, I'm just saying as a, because we don't know what it's going to be. You know, having to buy a new Spark of Life every month, whatever, however you want to look at it.
Yeah,
It's
it is gated somewhat by
right.
your financial ability to shell out for sparks. How reckless you can be with your life, your soul.
And I could be wrong. I
No, no,
mean,
but
people have
I don't
spent
see.
what $4 million on this game already. They
Yeah,
might
that's
all be
true.
willing to do
Yeah, that's true.
that.
It kind of just depends on the value of the death penalty. Anyway, conjecture.
Yeah,
I'm
we'll get
looking
to the
forward
death
to. I
penalty.
want to chase my story, my destiny, and explore the world. That's is what intrigues me.
Yep,
So yeah,
I agree. Scripts.
going offline. That's where the scripts really come into play. Because
This
again, we've touched on it
I
many
hate this
times.
word.
What
I hate this word.
scripts?
Yeah,
Such a bad word. Such a hacker word.
it is such a terror.
OPCs.
It has become a negative. OPC is probably
But yeah, when you go offline, your character stays in the game, in the world, continuing to do whatever it is you want him to do according to scripts that you select. I imagine most, they say you can write your own scripts. Now, which language you get to write it in, or whether it's a drag and drop menu, again, I don't know. Uh, so, to be tested, to be determined. But when you go offline,
yeah.
your character stays.
They're saying that you can actually use uh, JavaScript to write your scripts if you so choose. I don't know how accurate that is, but it's written on the wiki, so it's
God, that
probably
just seems
pretty
like it'd be
accurate.
so easy to abuse. But isn't it like
Well,
you write the
it
script and you
says
submit it?
it says you have to submit the script, and then it's parsed and compiled and checked for errors and stuff. So I imagine there's going to be a gate there that says, no, wait, this person's trying to do this.
And then the labor intensity of having to, I mean, don't get me wrong, because if they use the player base to write scripts, and then they take the time to check them and make sure they work, make sure they don't break the game, and then they make them available to everybody, the script library could be quite robust and impressive in a very short amount of time. That may be their plan.
Right. If we want to do an episode on scripts, I actually have somebody who's quite the expert on them.
No, sweet.
So if we wanted to discuss the possibilities with him, I'm sure he would be willing.
Might have to do that. We might have to wait until we find out a little more too. We'll see. But
Anyway,
it's all part of the world doesn't stop when you log out. It
yeah,
just
the
keeps
crux
on
of the
going.
matter is that when you log out, your character becomes an OPC, an offline player character. That character then follows whatever scripts you have applied to them to get through each day.
Yep. Until you
What
log
they
in
do,
again.
what they don't do, right? How they defend themselves. I imagine you program in their fight or flight response, everything. It's my guess.
Yeah, no, it's a good guess. I can't see it not being part of it. And I'm sure there's a generic fight or flight response that just exists in every
No, I can
the
already
default.
see a place where there's going to be a website where you can download already approved Elyria scripts that people are using. Just because so many people are not going to want to mess with it.
Yeah. No,
Or websites will pop up where tell us what you want your character to do and we'll write the script
we'll
for
write the
you.
script, yeah, and you can submit it, or we'll submit it, or
That friend
part, man, is again.
the friend I told you about, I will be looking into him when
We'll,
that comes
we will
along.
abuse him.
So yeah, OPC is a very interesting thing. It allows you to. It is a license to bot.
Yeah, that's it. License to bot. That's a
I
good way
mean,
to put it.
It's all those things that other games have censured us for using scripts, programs, whatever,
Automated.
automation systems, so that you can set your character to do something and you can go to bed. All those things that people have tried to do, I am 100% guilty of it. I have used bots to gather resources.
You're a hacker.
I am not a hacker. I completely squeezed the EQ2 system. I played a necromancer. I would set myself in a spawn camp,
Known hacker.
and then I
Welcome
would
to
go
band.
watch TV, go to sleep, go eat whatever, while my pet just sat there and wiped out the thing as it respawned over and over.
Over and over. No, I don't even remember what I was going to say. This is probably the thing that I don't want to say worries me, but yeah, probably worries me the most about having abuse from the player base of this system. Because that's probably the most abused thing in MMOs of the past is scripting and bots and two boxing and things like that.
Once the limits are given to us, once the box is built, and Soulbound Studios says, okay, all of your scripts have to exist inside this box. From that moment forward, there will constantly be people trying to
break that box.
Get
an advantage.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. I mean, the bottom line is their ability to handle that is what's really going to determine whether it breaks the game or not.
That's why when I first heard about this, I thought, okay, it's going to be one of those things where you have a drop-down list of things to choose, because that's the easiest way to control it, right?
No, without a doubt. Just these are the approved scripts you can do while you're offline, and they have complete control of it. But with the fact that they've said since the beginning, you can write your own scripts.
Yeah, this is probably my biggest doubt in the game.
Right.
I doubt this will make it to launch. I'm not saying that it won't. I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm saying that me personally, I doubt that this will work, simply because of how hard people are going to hit it.
No, it may be something that comes after launch and worked into the game as they work. I don't know. Right. I'm with you. They got so much.
I disagree with Soulbound Studios 100% on this. You should not allow people to write their own scripts. I don't think you should allow that. That's my opinion.
I'm intrigued by the idea of being able to do it. I just don't know if it will break their beautiful world. This beautiful game I want to play and it's not broken.
I guarantee that if this goes forward, I will be one of those people, simply because I have a programmer in my pocket. I will be one of those guys who goes over what I want my character to do line by line with this other person and say, how can we cheese this to make it better for us?
Just min-maxing. You're not even talking about cheating. You're just saying...
No, I am not talking about cheating. I'm talking about min-maxing the script so that it's better than people who just throw some stuff together.
Right. No. I think there's a lot of people that will try to take advantage of that. And so, will it break it? I will find out next time. No, I'm excited. I mean, they got so much on their plate. Soulbound Studios does. It's just... let's say that word again. Mind-boggling. I need a better thing to say than mind-boggling.
I got nothing.
Yeah, I'm gonna
break out the online thesaurus.
Thesaurus.com, and I'm gonna get something besides mind-boggling. Hey, hit me up in the YouTube comments with a better thing to say than mind. I want a list.
Better things to say. Better than mind-boggling.
I'm tired of saying mind-boggling.
Amazing, astonishing, breathtaking, spectacular, staggering, startling, stunning, surprised, wonderful, eye-opening, mind-blowing, stupendous.
Oh, press X to shut up. No, brother. I'm excited always. It was the character creation process, the souls, the destiny, the stories, the talents, your identity, all of it. The world being alive and breathing. None of this stuff exists in a vacuum, and all of it is just intertwined in this spider web of features that, like I said before, take any of these features and put them as that's like the pinnacle of another game's feature list.
The one thing I've noticed as we go through all these things and talk about the different parts of this game, you said intertwined. That is so huge.
No, none of it's in a vacuum.
You cannot talk about one part of this game without bringing in 3 or 4 other parts to make it sound right, to make it make sense.
Makes sense. This is how this ties into that, Right. And, yeah, it's beautiful.
It is. It is amazing.
It's beautiful if it can be done.
All right. We're running out of time.
Yes, we are.
But there's more to talk about character creation. I don't know exactly if that'll be in the next episode or not, but we will revisit this because it's a big subject.
And as always, if there is a topic you want to hear more about, we will research out and figure out what we can. Or just if you want to hear us completely have conjecture on it, hit us up in the comments. Or
we fully realize that our opinions might not be important, but we love sharing them with you. So ask away. We will gladly answer.
Yeah, nothing stops us from talking about it. It's what we do.
All right, Kalus. This was
how can
was my favorite episode.
It was good. I enjoyed it. How can people get a hold of us? That's the main thing.
People can get a hold of us by emailing at vendortrash27@gmail.com.
That was my soft toss to you.
We have a Facebook page, vendortrash27. What else do we have?
We got Twitter. We got some Discord.
Yeah, we haven't really pushed those things up yet, so I'm gonna leave it at those two. Those are the ones we have at the moment.
Very nice, very nice. Next episode, we plan on talking about death and dying.
That's a plan. That's the plan. I can't guarantee it's going to happen but it might just get rolled into whatever else we want to talk about. I don't know if death and dying can cover an entire episode.
Right, the spirit walking, the spirit laws, all that kind of stuff. It might not be enough.
We might talk some more about talents.
Ooh, I love talents.
Since death and dying they've mingled the two. Talents and death and dying seem to mingle quite a bit. So we might just throw those together and see what comes out of it.
Very cool. Well, wow. It was fun.
Great episode, sir. It was a lot of fun. We'll see you, and I will see all of you later.
See you on episode 5.